to Tokyo. Welcome to the beating heart of Japan for the start of the 2019 Rugby World Cup, the first ever to be staged in Asia. What a 6 weeks we have in store. It is a lovely evening here inside the stadium, warm and humid as ever, but importantly dry for tonight's opening showdown between the hosts, Japan and Russia in Pool A. The sense of excitement and anticipation is palpable. Everywhere you go in Tokyo, people are talking about the World Cup and the thrilling prospect of hosting these 20 nations across 12 different venues in this beautiful, diverse country, considered something of an untapped region for the sport until recently. So good evening to the legendary Welsh flanker Martin Williams. Martin, it's enormously exciting, isn't it, to be here at the start of this groundbreaking tournament? Yeah,
good evening, Ali. It really is. It's an absolute privilege to be inside this stadium on such an historic occasion, the first game of the 2019 Rugby World Cup, and what a tournament we got ahead of us.
So we start tonight with Pool A, which features our hosts, Japan and Russia, locking horns this evening, but also lying in wait, Scotland, Ireland and Samoa, each of whom will no doubt be watching carefully tonight as the event is launched. And what a moment for the Japanese fans. They are so engaged with the tournament already, so engaged with the sport now. This is a wonderful opportunity for rugby to foster its connection, not just here in this country, but to grow in a meaningful fashion in lots of brand new territories.
Yeah, we turned up at the stadium 4 or 5 hours prior to the game. The streets outside were absolutely heaving. The anticipation, the enthusiasm inside this stadium is incredible. And should be some opening match to this Rugby World Cup.
So the Japanese team arriving just a little bit earlier. No doubt nervous, excited, but with the pressure and expectation of a nation resting on their shoulders. The adrenaline will be coursing through their veins at the prospect of what will unfold tonight, and of course across the next few weeks. Japan have never reached the knockout stages of the World Cup. They believe this is their time. Here's how they line up: an experienced Japanese front row, Hori, their most capped hooker and a veteran of the 2015 campaign. An adopted South African-Australian partnership in the second row, Moore, the taller of the pair, only made his debut just 2 months ago. Leach, the captain, the talisman, the inspiration on the blind side. Himeno stepping up at number 8 with Amanaki Mafi injured at the moment. Nagare preferred at scrum half to the more experienced Tanaka. Tamura has played almost all the games since the last World Cup. Plenty of pace and power in the midfield with these two. Lafaele, Samoan-born and ever-present for the last couple of years. And there's a nice balance to the back three as well. Lemeki and Tupou offering Kiwi influence. Matsushima in red-hot form. 6 tries in his last 6 tests. Amongst the replacements, Luke Thompson out of retirement for a 4th World Cup at the age of 38. And of course Tanaka, as previously mentioned, the country's most capped scrum half. A man who did such sterling work in 2015. Excitement has been building through the course of the day and into the evening. Japan at the centre of matters, quite obviously. But the Russians too will play their part. What of them? Led by Lynn Jones, their coach. Huge underdogs, qualifying here on account of Spain and Romania being docked points for fielding ineligible players in the qualifying campaign. It's their 2nd World Cup. They lost all 4 games in 2011 in New Zealand. They're tough, they're set-piece orientated, but they may well find the pace a little difficult tonight, Martin.
Yeah, huge underdogs, like you say.
Heavyweight front row then for the Russians. Gotovtsev, a former national competitor in bobsleigh and wrestling of all things. Andrei Ostrakov will be a big presence at lock following time spent in the English Premiership and European competition as well with the Sale Sharks. The back row features Gadjiev, a key man at the breakdown and line-out. Zhivatov, a former Sevens international, and Vavilin predicted to have a very bright future. Fly half Yuri Kushnerev, Russia's most decorated player of all time, winning his 110th cap tonight. More than 100 caps in the centres, shared between Gerasimov and the impressive Ostrushko, veteran of the 2011 campaign. Keep an eye out for the lightning-quick Davidov on the right wing. Artemiev just 10 tests shy of notching his century. And he's the captain, of course, from full-back. And on the bench, plenty of experience in the form of Matveyev, the hooker, and the 36-year-old Garbusov, another of those who joined the World Cup in New Zealand 8 years ago. So Russia, not without hope, Martin. They'll no doubt relish the big stage, but their rugby evolution, I think safe to say, at a much earlier stage than their opponents. And recent defeats to Connacht and Jersey in warm-up matches won't necessarily fill them full of confidence.
No, but they played Japan 12 months ago. Pushed them all the way, made it very, very difficult. They will be very physical in the contact area. Nothing to lose either, Russia. We had a quick chat with the Welsh coach who coaches Russia, Lynn Jones, last night, and they are very, very raw when it comes to their rugby knowledge, their rugby talent. But he said they've had a good 6 months together. You know, the Russian Rugby Union have got right behind this team. The results might not have gone their way, but as far as he's concerned, they're in a really good place. So really fascinating to see how they handle the whole occasion tonight, let alone the game.
Good luck and enjoy. Good luck and enjoy.
Nigel Owens orchestrating the coin toss with the two captains. And Russia, the winners, they will kick off. Here this evening in Tokyo, what an atmosphere. 50,000 fans packed into the stadium, millions watching across Japan and across the globe. Rugby's showpiece event is here again. And ahead of us, 6 weeks of mouth-watering competition featuring the very best players on the planet. So what about these players, Martin? Take us inside that dressing room for us.
There they are. You know, the weight of a nation really on their shoulders. Japan, so difficult to put into words all the emotions. Every emotion you can think of is going through their bodies at the minute. Excitement, anxiety, fear. You just can't wait to get out on that field and start.
A handful of Japanese players who did such extraordinary things in 2015. And this is a time for some of that experience to be brought to bear. So too for the Russians, who have 5 players in their squad who survived from 2011. Vasily Artemiev, their skipper, Vladimir Ostrushko, and the much decorated Yuri Kushnarev, who will steer the ship from fly half. So we are just moments away now. For many of these players, they'll have dreamt of this moment since they were small boys. The realization of a dream, the chance of a lifetime. But the nerves will be jangling, the focus rarely sharper. This is what they've built towards. Japan intent on enjoying themselves also. But all those painful fitness sessions, the endless training, all the sacrifices of time away from loved ones, of total dedication to their sport. Martin, this is it. This is it for them now.
Yeah, people talk about 4 years of a build-up, but it's not. It's a lifetime of a build-up, sacrifice. And it's such an honour for these Japanese players. Very rare will an international rugby player be able to play in an opening game in your own country, representing your home team. Such a big occasion, and such a contrasting style I think we're going to see as well tonight, so it should make for a fascinating game.
Off you go, boys, go!
So the eyes of the rugby world fall on Tokyo, fall on these chosen few. Tonight, Japan and Russia take centre stage. 12 more teams follow across the weekend as they chase the ultimate prize in the sport. The William Webb Ellis Trophy. Good to see the smiles on the field. Smiles off it too.
National anthem of Japan will now be performed by Ayaka Hirahara, followed by the Russian national anthem to be performed by Alexander Drakov. これより日本国歌並びにロシア国歌の斉唱を行います。歌手は平原綾香さん、アレクサンダー・グラドコフさんです。
So before the chaos, then the calm, and the two anthems starting with Japan. Emotional time for the players, and so too the coaches. Jamie Joseph, a former New Zealand and Japanese international, in charge of the Brave Blossoms. And Lynn Jones, a proud Welshman, at the helm of Russia. So there's very much a landmark for this beautiful game. The first Rugby World Cup in Asia, taking the game beyond its traditional boundaries, and what fruits potentially for the growth of the sport. 7 times out of 8 the World Cup has been won by a nation from the Southern Hemisphere. Could it head north this time? Surely the most open tournament in its history. New Zealand, South Africa and England leading most lists of potential champions, but the door is open to those who can seize the moment. In terms of tonight, Martin, something of a clash in styles. Japan playing at a rate of knots, they tear teams apart with their speed. Russia more intense on set-piece dominance.
It is, but take away all that now. It's for these players, for these 30 players, 46 players, the biggest games of their lives. You know, particularly for the Russians, Japan would have played in front of big crowd before, but for this Russian team, they would never have experienced an occasion like this, a crowd like this. How will they react? Will it inspire them, or will they shrink? should be such a fascinating game, and I think it's imperative they get off to a good start.
20 seconds.
Nigel Owens of Wales has the honour of blowing the first whistle. There is sure to be plenty of scrutiny on the referees of this World Cup. We wish them all well. And the 2019 Rugby World Cup is up and running. Launched by Yuri Kushnarev of Russia, who kicks high into the Tokyo night sky, and the Russians are already on the rampage through their hooker, Selski, and they have gained possession for the line-out as well, Martin Williams, and they will be well pleased with a start like that.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, the nerves, the Japanese showing nerves there, miscommunication from the kickoff. Ideal start for the Russians just to get a foothold in the game. Very early, get their tails up. Great kickoff, great hang time from Kushnarev.
Stay there, don't move.
And got his just rewards.
Well, just look where they are poised, just outside the 5-metre line. Selski, the hooker, finds his man in Fedotko on the second row, and now they get a first chance to squeeze this Japanese pack. Keeping it tight. Dorofeyev breaks. Ostrushko powers up to that 5-metre line. They have the advantage. The arm is outstretched from Nigel Owens as Andrei Ostrikov works his way forwards, slowly but surely at the moment. The Russians
Still advantage.
looking to their tight game. Nice hands. Selski, the beneficiary. Dorofeyev. Kushnarev. A little short pot to Gerasimov. And Nigel Owens' patience has worn thin. Dorofeyev thinking about the quick tap.
Yeah, it's good initial defence from the Japanese. They stopped the driving line out, but see, Raphael there clearly doesn't roll away, makes no effort to roll away. After the tackle, and it's an easy decision for Nigel Owens. Interesting to see what the Russians do, whether they're actually turning down the 3 points and going for the corner. A real statement of intent from Russia. Got a good kicking percentage, good kicker at goal, Kushnarev, but they're back in their driving line out.
Well, they're setting out their stall here, the Russians. Widely written off ahead of this contest.
Wait.
We've already mentioned they qualified to be here after Spain and Romania were docked points for fielding ineligible players.
Then I will get the space. So stay there, please. Don't move.
There's a clear instruction.
Yeah, that's what we're going to get tonight from Nigel Owens. He's going to be our third, fourth commentator. He's going to make it clear exactly what the rules are, exactly what he expects from the players.
Time to strike. Oh, the line out is loose, and it's been gobbled up hungrily by Shota Horia of Japan, and the nation breathes a sigh of relief. Oh, but not for long! The ball is loose, and they're coming back for the knock-on from the line out. Anxious moments for all fans of a Japanese persuasion.
They're living on the edge, Japan. Took so much time. Tamura in the backfield, great chase.
Time out, please.
But the knock-on was given as great. Wouldn't have counted anyway because the ball had gone over the whitewash. But Tamura's going to have to be quicker clearing his lines. Just shows anybody who thought Russia would just turn up for the occasion tonight, think again.
So a little bit of repair work for Vasily Dorofeyev, the Russian scrum half, but how relieved must Yu Tamura feel at this point? But for a little fingertip touch from the line out, he might have been in a world of trouble.
If their hook is on the middle and you move, you're going to get
There's been such a big build-up for these Japanese players. You know, they've been known for so long as the opening game.
Oh, it's up to you to get that, okay?
Everything to lose, really, tonight in many ways. So much pressure on them. They look nervous. Didn't secure the opening kick-off again. Just small things that creep into the back of your mind. A charge-down kick. Just need to settle down, have a good solid scrum and clear their lines.
Big standard, please. Go back.
Anxiety all around, and that anxiety remains for Jamie Joseph and Japan, whilst their team remain just 5 metres away from their try line.
Crouch.
Fine.
Marginal advantage at scrum time as far as weight is concerned for the Japanese.
Give me the space, please. The both of you. So get back a bit.
Traditionally, of course, they like to get the ball in and get it away.
And I think from the Russians' point of view, if you're in the front row or any of the forwards, just let Japan have the ball here. Don't try anything funny. Don't give them an easy out, an easy penalty. Make them work their way out of this 5-metre line.
Fine. Set. Hold it there. Keep it up. Keep it fine. Stay back,
Nagari with the feed. It's a clean hook.
Stay red, stay 5, 13, stay. Okay.
Clearance is affected this time. No touch found. Instead, Vasily Artemiev, the Russian captain, is lurking in the backfield. And the first tester, he's miscalculated that horribly. And racing onto it, Golosnitsky! First try of the Rugby World Cup. It's gone the way of the Russians. A horrible error. Gathering the defensive ball. And Golosnitsky strikes for Russia.
Oh, incredible scenes. The Russians, as if they'd won the World Cup, just scored the first try, and it's well deserved. They put all the pressure on Japan. Japan, by top out, choose to keep her on the field. I'm sure this is a tactic just to keep her on the park. And it's a nothing sort of kick really from Artem. Maybe thinking an easy one to gather in your 22, but it's exactly what nerves do. Misjudges, and a great chase from Golosnitsky, and he scores the first try. Such a howler, such a exposed area if you're a fullback of 15. And that wouldn't have done any of the Japanese fans, any of the players, any good in settling their nerves. But what a start from the Russians.
Fabulous celebrations for Kirill Golosnitsky. Falls now to Kushnarev to add the conversion. Never in doubt, Russia take the lead early in Tokyo. 7 points to the good thanks to this error from Will Tupou.
How are you? Which way are you going?
Just look what it means to them.
You're there behind you and behind the line.
Well, that's one way to launch your Rugby World Cup, isn't it? 5 tries now in his last 4 test matches for Golosnitsky. And the Japanese with a little bit of thinking to do. Gathered in by Vavilin of Russia. Thumped over in midfield is Zhivatov.
Very important from a Russian point of view now to clear your lines. Don't give a silly penalty away. You'd see this slower pace they want to play compared to Japan. Put pressure on their set piece.
Taken in this time cleanly by Will Tupou to the relief of a host nation. Fast and furious from Japan. There's space in the backfield, and it's Golosnitsky now who's on defensive detail under a huge amount of pressure from Tupou. Japan sensing an opportunity now. Quick ball could be very, very dangerous for the Russians at this stage, but they've managed to secure possession. Golosnitsky's done his job, and it's hoofed away by Davidov, and Russia this time breathe a sigh of relief. Let's bring in Carl Tanano, who's on the touchline for us. Carl, what's your view of things?
Konbanwa, boys. Yeah, perfect start, wasn't it, for the Russian boys? You just felt they would have heard the noise coming into this game, how they weren't a chance. So perfect for them. But whether they can keep it up for another 73 minutes is the question.
Thank you, Carl. We have the Japanese attempting to launch an attack round the front of the line out. It's not gone entirely to plan.
No advantage.
Yeah. Good defence from the Russians at the line out. I think he's called a knock on, Nigel Owens, but from first look,
Line it over on the knock
it looked as if there was a big Russian hand in there knocking the ball backwards.
Line it over.
But you just saw from that brief passage of play there how dangerous the Japanese are in broken play. Switching from side to side, attacking both sides of the ruck. The Russians are going to have to be very, very organised defensively.
So scrum time.
Same as the last scrum, you two, please.
And the Russians will be, you would have thought, delighted to be able to drag the Japanese into an arm wrestle. They're not as mobile. But they know their way around the tight game. Lynn Jones, interestingly, saying that he had picked the fastest team that he could muster. But in the past, Russian sides have been selected largely on muscle.
Yeah, solid scrum.
Vavilin from the base. Strong runner, playing in his first Rugby World Cup. Taking his time, afforded plenty of time. And you suspect there will be plenty of action in the air after Tupou's error. This is a little flash of
15 in from the side.
Pace and acceleration from Matsushima.
Advantage, 15 in from the side.
Japanese now playing with an advantage, and Matsushima pushes it through. Pressure here on Davidov, who's looking like for a minute he might have been outgunned by Lemeki. Charging up that left-hand touchline. Pressure here on Russia. Excellent counter-rucking from the Japanese. Nagari's onto it, and the Russians are offside. They've taken it quickly. Well, we said it would be fast and furious. It's proving that way, Martin.
Yeah, it's chaotic, isn't it? You just see again, you know, whether it's attacked us twice now, Japan have put just a little grubber kick behind. But we spoke to Lynn Jones yesterday, and that's the two wingers for Russia, Davidov and Golesnitsky, by trade as centres. And you'd expect Matsushima and Lemeki to have the speed over those. Davidov does well eventually to get back, but you can just see in a foot race, they're just hanging on, and it's good pressure from the Japanese, who decided to go and back their driving line out.
Stay there.
Shoto Horia, 60-second cap for Japan tonight. Started all 4 of the games in 2015. But he's found James Moore, and the peel is a nice one, and this is Leach, launched.
It's a wrap now. Gone back, gone back.
Looking to the phase play, but plenty of dynamism there. Nagari to the shorter side. Little chance here for Nakamura.
Away, Blue, no wrap.
Labuskagni upended. Russians on red alert right now, and the ball being spread. Dangerous times. What an offload that is! What a try this will be! Matsushima into the corner. Japan on the scoreboard. A nation in raptures.
Well, that's one for the highlight reel. Couldn't quite see who it was, but it comes out of the back door. You thought Russia had shut the play down, but just watch this offload in the contact. Sensational work. You see, just keeping the ball, being patient. I think it's Tupou who's made up for his error. Look at that for the ball. Creates the 2-on-1. It's an easy finish for Matsushima. Here we go, the footwork. Defend Raphael, sorry, to Tupou, out of the back door. Asia. One for the highlight reel tomorrow on the highlights. Brilliant work.
Very, very slick. Always alive to the possibility, and just before he hit the deck, he got it away. And Matsushima, who's now scored 7 in 7 for Japan. I think you call that a hot streak.
It does, and that should settle the nerves. You know, it's been a very nervous first opening 10-11 minutes for Japan. They needed something just to settle them down. See him in a huddle just back at the halfway line. I'm sure Michael Leach is having a quick chat with them, and you can see when they do keep ball, they are stressing the Russian defence. And when you've got skills like Raffaelli and Tupou, they are very, very dangerous ball in hand.
Tamura wide, and we're heading pitch side again to Kaltanana.
All the way back to Matsushima's kick in behind. It was a bad kick chase from the Russians. They've done it a couple of times. There is a swirly breeze in behind the Japanese team, but he's the one that finished off with their great footwork. As you said, a noted try scorer, Kataro Matsushima.
Celebrations all across the nation
The ball's got to be off the floor before you...
Scored against the USA at Kingsholm back in 2015, a game Japan, of course, lost, but Jamie Joseph is enjoying himself finally.
He wasn't smiling 5 minutes ago, was he? But like you say, just need to keep ball, Japan. Again, another mixed kick-off. They got away with it.
Yeah, they have got away with it, largely thanks to the alert Himeno. And he's managed to break clear as well, dragged down by Selski, but the ball is loose. And he's gone all the way up to the halfway line. Kazuki Himeno.
Yeah, Jamie Joseph with a smile on his face earlier, but he won't be smiling about how he's receiving the kickoffs. It's one of the basics of the game, really. Really should be taking those, but it's good work from the number 8 Himeno. Good power. And this is very clever play. He releases the ball, gets back to his feet, fully entitled to do that, and he's away again.
But if it causes him to come in,
good scramble defence from the Russians.
And without stating the bleeding obvious, excellent awareness of the laws as well. We spoke to Lynn Jones, and some of the remedial work he's had to do with Russia has been as basic as working on some of the simple laws of the game.
They are very, very raw, the Russians, and Lynn has spoken about it. Obviously, it's a rugby union in Russia, is a game that's growing, and he's a fantastic rugby brain, Lynn Jones, the Russian coach. He couldn't fault these players' efforts in the first 30 minutes. They rose to the occasion and really put Japan under pressure. Set piece so far, the scrum been very even. There he is.
Good.
He'll have a few tricks up his field, particularly up his sleeve, particularly in attack.
Yep, something of a non-conformist, I think it's safe to say.
Shoulders. Crouch. Fine. Set. Hold it there, please. Hold it there. Keep the height, lads. Keep the height. Please stay there. Stay in here. Stay in here.
Solidity at the set piece for Russia. Cross field they go. Tamura defending out wide. Nagari feeds the bigger men.
Good. Go to his feet, Bill.
26-year-old Australian only made his debut back in July. Nagari sends it on its way.
Just see Moore again do exactly the same as Himeno, release the ball, get back to his feet and go.
Ball is here, clearly available.
Good little burst from Zhivatov.
Clearly available. And
You notice the difference here, Ali slowing it down.
Yeah, one of those caterpillar rucks that has become very much in vogue recently, to buy a little bit of time, but the Japanese tearing onto the ball and securing possession. Nagari whips it away, taken on by Tamura and subsequently Hori.
He's gone.
Nagari again. Tamura
touched by blue.
using the boat, just very much trying to probe in behind the Russian defence at the moment.
Okay.
Tupou
Stay
well
red.
assisted by 3 other players in the backfield. Claimed by Artemiev, but look at the chase from Japan. Very, very strong, totally committed.
Hughes.
Dorofiev feeds that short side, and this might prove profitable for Davidov, looking for a kindly bounce of the ball.
Yeah, very smart play from Dorofiev. Looked as if he was shaping a box kick, and obviously the call was to go on out wide, and they really rate this man, Davidov. Young player, huge talent, but it was great work initially from the retake from Artemiev. He got absolutely smashed in the tackle, but stayed on his feet, just fought the tackle for a couple of seconds, which allowed the Russian forwards to get back and support him. And nice to see a bit of inventive play from the Russians as well as the Japanese.
Be very careful when you get
Needing a little bit of time out already.
When you get,
there will be some fitness questions raised across the next few weeks, that's for sure, given the conditions, particularly the humidity not quite the same in the evening time.
Just look at the handling errors there, you know, that's a bit of nerves from the Japanese. Earlier on, a couple of missed kickoffs.
On this side,
Kickoff receipts, which are real basic. I'm sure the longer this game goes on, the more playing to Japan's hands, the ball's in play, but these stoppages probably the first real stoppage apart from the tries we've had with all the players, just getting a bit of a breather, soaking up the occasion.
It's going to be instructive to see the way they play, the way perhaps they use the advantage of playing at home. Of course, for every other rugby nation, these are away fixtures, away from the traditional rugby heartlands here in Japan. And Jamie Joseph's team train day in, day out here. They know all about the conditions and the challenges that they will face. They may know with the burst to get the home side on the front foot. Again, it's launched long and Artemiev waits.
Blue, stay, please. Okay.
Tamura.
Stay there.
It's a huge gap here to counter-attack.
Kushnarev goes to the air once more. And Matsushima is waiting, or had to make a late decision as his boot touched the line. It has. Well, it's turned out to be an outstanding kick from Kushnarev, and probably a misjudgment of a millimetre or two.
It was such a difficult one for Matsushima. I think he thought it was going to go drift into touch, and then whether the wind has just pushed it back in field, he's had to play it in the end. And like you say, it turns out to be a brilliant kick from Kushnarev. She had acres of space. It was a poor chase from the Japanese after the kick.
1 meter.
Plenty of time to stroll into the Japanese half and a pinpoint kick from the Russians. And again, another great opportunity for them.
They certainly have the benefit of some taller men, some targets at line-out time. 6'7", 6'6" in the engine room, Ostrikov and Fedotko. Dorofeev feeding Zhivatov.
Go back to.
Just outside the 22. Got to make these sort of field positions pay. Taken on by Gotovtsev. And the ball left hanging, picked up by Selski, but then dislodged in contact. And once more, Japan have possession of the ball. Looking to put width on it as quickly as they possibly can.
Stay nine, stay there. Good.
Artemiev steadies himself. Russia's record try scorer.
Heel on the line for me.
Yeah, really experienced play from Artemiev there. Shouldn't have really kicked there, the Japanese, with turnover ball, kept in hand, stressed the Russians, but they're off.
Yep, they've gone early. And they're trying to make ground through Tupou on this 5-metre channel. Now into the middle of the park, and Jones Moore.
Lost now! You lost your feet after, so release.
Tamura. Lovely work from Leach. Tupou taken down. Those little tip-ons can be so dangerous. Looking to move the point of contact and move it late.
Got to his feet, play on, back of red.
Again, it's good light speed off from the Russians. They really are putting Japan under pressure.
Away, red!
And they swallowed up the loose ball via Selski, their hooker.
Release!
Taken up by Ostrikov.
Still advantage. Stay.
Recalled a few years back after
Okay,
3 years out of international rugby, Andrei Ostrikov. Hasn't quite got the distance on that he would have liked. Plenty of height. That was knocked on, but off the knee, says Nigel Owen. So Russian ball is legitimate. Kushnarev looking to bring his midfield runners into play. Big chase on here from Gerasimov, who goes flying through, and Tamura with the silky footwork.
Leave it blue, leave it blue. If I say leave, I'm playing advantage, you leave. Not on your feet.
Yeah, brilliant work from Tamura. You know, they've been fragile under the high ball in this opening 20 minutes, but it's a pinpoint kick, but great footwork from Tamura. Sets away, and it's just over-eagerness then from Gassiev in the tackle area. Clearly goes off his feet. You've got to support your own body weight. If you just see, he just loses clearly. Just goes off his feet. And an easy penalty again for Nigel Owens. to give. But impressed with the Russians so far this 20 minutes. Their line speed, they work in the contact area, they're slowing down the Japanese ball. They're making life very difficult for Japan.
Decent distance on the kick from Tamura. Came in for a little bit of criticism in recent weeks, heavily beaten, of course, by South Africa in the build-up. But as with all the World Cup warm-up events, very hard to read anything meaningful into them.
Yeah, this is the real thing, isn't it? This is where you're judged.
Hori to the tail. Picked out nicely, and a chance for the midfield runners. Through the middle they go. Matsushima brought back against the grain. Nice movement in the midfield for Japan. Leach with the step and the offload. Van der Welt is there alongside him. Quick ball here for the Japanese. Matsushima assisting with the clear out. Back to the short side, and Hori. Inagaki made his test debut in that extraordinary win over the South Africans in Brighton in 2015. Hori again getting through plenty of work in the tight. Nagare swiftly onwards. Oh, the legality of that tackle might need checking as Lemeki sets off and gets the ball away. And back we come for a knock-on. The celebrations will have to be put on hold.
I thought Japan were in that left-hand corner then for a brilliant read. I think it was Ostrowskov. Here we go. Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly legal. Great timing, great hit. Dislodges the ball. Got to be very careful now. The new laws on World Rugby and the referees are really clamping down on the high tackles, but that was fully legal.
Yeah, Nakamura will have felt that, that's for sure. Got to get your arms outstretched.
You look at the stats there, 10 missed tackles already from the Russians, but what they have done, they've scrambled really well. And when the Japanese have got behind them, they've worked really hard to get numbers back, slow the ball down, enable them to reorganise their defence. I'm sure that man there is living in dreamland at the minute. They've given a 7-5 lead after 23 minutes last night. You'd have bitten your hand off.
A thoughtful Jamie Joseph. And some excellent Russian fans who've
The cosmonauts there.
decided to make this day really count.
It's a great effort, isn't it? Great to see such a colourful spectacle.
Well, they might only be in relatively small pockets, but they're definitely playing their part tonight. Golden days for Russian rugby, that's for sure. Only their second Rugby World Cup. No win in 16 years over Japan. Have to go all the way back to May 2003 for that, but they are leading here in Tokyo in the opening game of Rugby World Cup 2019.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Hold it there. Kick it up. Bind. Use, please. Use. Stay back.
Gerasimov. The target man, Dorofeyev, providing relief with the kick.
Yeah, I think from a Russian point of view, that's all they need to do there. They're under pressure. Good hit up by Gerasimov, good clearance. You see, Japan have been lots of fancy sort of back plays, but no real sort of, apart from the offload from Lafayette earlier on, not a lot of cutting edge, lots of changes directions, but kept the discipline well in defence, Russia.
Ball is claimed at the line-up by Van der Welt, and the Japanese are off again. Driven upfield this time by Lemeki. Nice handling from Inagaki to Hori. See the mobility of the Japanese front row. Here's Lafayette. Hori again, very often at first receiver. Very comfortable in that distributing role. Nagari, quick hands, and onto the ball comes Ivalu, Tongan-born. Tamura looking for the inside ball. Trying to find those
That's fine, play on.
weaker
That's good.
shoulders, but the ball is loose and it's been swept up by Vavilin. And onwards goes Ostrushko, running inside and out. Lemeki is clutching at thin air at the moment. And back he goes to gather the ball, but he's gathering Russians as well. Davidov straight on top of him. Good chase from those in blue. Ostrushko right there with him in the trenches.
Stay.
And the Japanese, having been knocking on the door,
Stay red.
are pinned back behind their try line before Tamura's clearance.
And it all came from fantastic work from Gashiev in the contact area. Got back to his feet. He's been a nuisance all game. Here he is. He's made the tackle. He's fully entitled. Takes out 2 men.
Good contest. Rock
Allows
over.
the number 8 Pavilion to break through. Great athleticism and offload. That's a brilliant counter-attack from Russia.
Time out.
Just, I think what we've seen, they just haven't got the legs, just haven't got that pace on the outside to finish off. But the work rate is huge. Davidov makes the tackle, makes the hit. You see 3 or 4 Russians in the background. There early. Great work from Russia. Really impressed with this opening 25 minutes.
Yeah, tremendous pressure. There's Tagir Gadzhiev,
Stay red, please.
who's very effective at the
1 meter.
breakdown. Most turnovers won this year
Stay where you
for
are.
the Russian side,
there,
and
good,
was
good.
relaxed
Time on.
enough earlier on this evening to arrive at the stadium in a massive white wig. Just an indication that he was keen to have a good time here this evening, and why not? Gerasimov on the ball for Russia, leading by 7 points to 5 on the 22-meter line. Ball has been gathered in by the Japanese. It's all a bit loose. Lemeki drops on it.
It's a tackle, release blue. Tackle. Thank you very much. Outside.
Close they keep it.
Inside, on the line.
Tempo is everything to this Japanese side. Nagare fires it upfield. An interesting selection. Yutaka Nagare, very calm and controlled, according to the assistant coach Tony Brown, former All Black, of course, but picked ahead of Fumiaki Tanaka, who is vastly experienced. And Nagare, by the way, the smallest player at the Rugby World Cup, 5'5", and just a shade over 11 stone. Proof positive that rugby's still a game for all shapes and sizes.
Very much hasn't been a threat yet as well around the fringes, is he? He's just shipping the ball, which does make it easier for the Russians to defend.
Kushnarev digs it through. It's gathered brilliantly in by Gerasimov, and Russia are away. This is Ostrushko deep inside the 22, causing big problems at the moment for the host nation.
No!
Proper scrap, this.
Move red! That's fine, lost now!
Lots of people predicting one-way traffic tonight. Hasn't proved that way at all. Russia asking some very serious questions.
Hughes. Stay on, tackle me.
Suspicion of a forward pass there between the 2 back rowers, Shivatov and Gadzhiev, but Nigel Owens right on the spot. Patience in possession, but no great forward momentum at this point. And the ball dislodged ultimately. Leach firing offloads out of the back of his hand, 5 meters from his try line. Taken in by Kushnarev and shepherded to the touchline. The boot has gone into touch. The flag is raised and the attack is snuffed out.
Yeah, again, all came from Kushnarev. A little chip, perfectly weighted chip from midfield. The number 12, Gerasimov, to pick up. Great work. Here it goes from the line out. Good line speed from Japan, but no 9 cover in the backfield, and beautifully weighted. Again, just not quite that breakaway pace to finish off. Good scramble from Japan, but they're under pressure.
Once again, play hovering around that Japanese 22. Nakamura bringing in Himeno, playing at number 8 tonight in the absence of Amanaki Mafi, who damaged his shoulder in that game against South Africa not that long ago. Well claimed by Golosnitsky, who got this match off to a flyer with his early try.
You put him there, you're holding him there. I'm not going to penalise him because you're holding him. You slowed your own ball down. Now we play.
Angelo and standing for no nonsense.
Out.
Dorofeyev seems to have got right underneath that as well. No distance on these box kicks from the Russian scrum half. Just height and relatively easy pickings for the Japanese. Tamura drills that through. There was width to be worked with. There was an overlap there potentially.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with more. It was a poor option there from Tamura.
Stay red.
Matsushima, and he's managed to get that in behind Golozhnitsky. Going to need to challenge for his own kick, and he's missed it altogether. Swallowed up though by Gadzhiev. His passing just needs to be a little bit more accurate for the Russians to profit. Gerasimov bouncing through the defenders.
No, on it first, then you lost. Stay, please, boys.
Just get the impression, Martin, the Russians are working very, very hard for each and every metre at the moment.
They are, you know, whether that will tell in the second half of this match. There's a chance here for Japan to counter-attack.
No chase on the kick from Russia significantly, and Matsushima afforded all kinds of space, setting up the platform. Lafayette throws the dummy, gets the offload away. Tamura's there.
Tackle!
Japan, by contrast, just looked that much more dynamic on the ball. Lafayette again.
Yeah, he's dangerous, isn't he? Gets an offload in again, but that time he's lost ball.
Leave it red! Red, no red! No! Stay out, get out of there. Advantage knock on.
Russians
Advantage knock
take
on.
it in. Artemiev to the way to Kushnerev, and they're going to have to build again. Interesting option from Dorofeyev.
Taking advantage. No advantage. Knock on.
Right, they'll come back for their Russian scrum.
I don't know if we can see a wide shot here, but the Russians
they're
bending
hanging
over on their knees. They're down. They're very, very tight. They're hanging on.
Yeah, there is little doubt. They are sucking diesel right now. Half an hour in.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, the intensity of this match, the emotion, they're starting to really dig in, the Russians. Japan just can't quite get that final pass away at this minute. Here's that man again. I think it's Lafayette. We saw the Hollywood offload earlier on. There's another one backdoor. Just can't quite get that final pass in. It's great scramble offence. As tight as the Russians are, they really are working so hard to get back in defence, make those last-ditch tackles.
Captain, tell your team if I'm playing advantage and I tell them to leave it, they need to leave it. They don't risk the penalty.
For once, Lafayette not getting his own way as the ball is spilled forward in the contact. Those demon offloads causing plenty of trouble. 4 offloads, and half of those by Lafayette at this point.
Yeah, he's dangerous, and these Russian forwards can take as long as they possibly can here to set this scrum up. They'll be looking at that clock, 31 minutes. They'll be looking for half-time.
Martin, what are they going to be like at 60, 70 minutes?
I think Lynn Jones will probably be going to his bench early. Look, that pack have given everything. The man with the really caught the eye. They do with the head catch of Fedotko in the second row. He's been everywhere, working hard defensively and with the ball.
Number 8. Once I call crouch,
well, they would do well at this moment to look up at the scoreboard. They're still in front.
Well, they're in dream world, aren't they? They really are. The amount of people we were speaking to were saying this is going to be one-way traffic.
Hold it there, please.
And they've more than held their own, Russia.
It's going to be a question of character and resolve in the second half, you feel.
Let it go now, Sam. Take him back, boys.
Kushnerev under pressure. Good chase from Nagare, and again, Tupou misjudging that high ball. There's definitely a fault line there to be exploited by Russia. If only they could get their chase right.
Well, they got it right earlier on and counted it as try, didn't it? And it's just 4 or 5 real basic errors. Again, there's that play where they release the ball, get back to their feet, keep the momentum going.
And there are numbers here for the Japanese to work. Darting back against the grain once more. Lafayette up to the 10-metre line, but the ball has gone forwards.
contact as you went to the ground.
Let's have another word with Carl Tanana. Carl, what's caught your eye?
Well, for one thing, Elias, the counter-attack from Japan, that's where they look so dangerous, especially when Matsushima's returning the ball, and they look good on the edge as well with Lafayette. They're finding a lot of space, especially when it goes to fifth or sixth phase, but it's glaringly obvious, as you gentlemen have pointed out, the fitness or lack of from the Russians really starting to hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for some of these guys, and already Lynn Jones has brought on Dmitry Perov at scrum half. Vasily Dorofeev will play no further part this evening. There was the challenge from James Moore on Dorofeev a little earlier. Just wonder if he might have suffered a bang to the head there. Might be a reason for the substitution.
Yeah, James Moore's got to be careful of those sort of contacts. No real arm wrap there, just sort of led with the shoulder. He's done well at the scrum after Dorofeev when he was on, wasn't he? You know, controlled play. A few of his box kicks were probably a little bit short in distance.
Dmitry Perov on in his place. 35 years old, made his debut 2 years ago, so relatively a late bloomer, former Russian sevens player. Vavilin feeding him from the base. Kushnerev. Crossfield kick, but straight out on the full. Throws his head back in anguish and apology.
First real basic mistake from the Russians. You know, they've cleared their lines well, kept the ball, they've kicked really well, that man there. It's a first loose kick at a key point as well, you know, 5-10 minutes just before half-time, you've got the lead. And it's an easy out for Japan. Good attacking opportunity on the 10-metre line.
Don't move, man. Don't move.
Can this backline spark something for Japan?
Murray looking to pick out Leach. It's messy, but it's made to look good by Lemeki. Lamano Lemeki. Very dangerous. Played in the sevens side at the Rio Olympics, and he set up an excellent attacking platform here. Ivalu bustles onwards. Nakamura and onwards to Wimpy van der Walt. And now a lovely line cut by Lafayette, nearly wriggled his way free. Nagari is there. Onwards they go. Over the top, it's Matsushima! A second of the night for the Japanese winger. It might need checking, but with 5 minutes or so to go before the break, a vital intervention. To the TMO we go.
Nigel, we're just going to show
New Zealand.
But fine in real time. It's that man in midfield again, Lafayette. He's lost the ball in contact a couple of times, but again, I think it's another sensational offload in the lead up to that man, Matsushima's try. Here we go, the first use of Hawkeye in this competition in the 2019 World Cup.
Great work from James Moore, by the way. And the grounding looked good initially. I don't think there's going to be any doubt here, unless he's lost contact with it. No, just enough it looks like.
That is very
lost
tight.
control of the ball. I'm going to show it to you live in real time now.
Remember those?
Back to slow-mo, please.
Yeah,
So has he lost control of it before the grounding?
and the rule is he's got to have complete control of that ball as he comes over, and I think he's lost that.
Here, Nigel, and hasn't regathered position.
It's a tough one.
Have a knock on before anything is touched, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a knock on first, Nigel.
Okay. No try. Lost control of the
Been
ball
made.
forward.
Lost control in the act of scoring. It's a cruel blow.
It's a tight, great scramble by Artemeyev, and it's such a difficult finish. He's reaching out. And just to clarify that rule, Matsushima needs to have complete control of that ball as it touches over the whitewash. But here we go, here's the attack. There's the offload again, great support, great offloads. More, think he's in. There's great defense from the Russian captain Artemayev, just to force Matsushima to reach out. Here we go, this is the angle you see, just loses control of the ball there. Very, very tight, and
a demonstration, if we needed it, as to the essential nature of the television match official. So Russia cling on to their lead. Well, they're under the pump. 5 meters out.
5, 7.
Scrum working hard. Perov gathers, but he's got Nagare to deal with. Gadziev. Russia taking as much time as they can possibly muster at each available breakdown. And oh, Perov with the dither at the base. That might have proved fatal as far as tries are concerned, that somehow they've regathered the ball.
took an age then, the replacement scrum half for Russia. Perov, you've got to be a lot quicker getting your box kick away than that.
Well, he must have learned his lesson. He won't be doing that again in a hurry, I suspect.
The Japanese will be all over him again. You try and put pressure there, as you can see. More on the outside of the scrum cap from Japan. Doesn't look comfortable, does he?
It's a wobbly old clearance.
Does not look comfortable in that box kick situation. Here's the first one. What he nearly loses control.
It was with the fingertips, and Matsushima and Horia were right on top of him.
Time out.
On another day, that lands in the breadbasket and they're over.
Do not do anything to make them think the ball is out, okay? Because if they charge it down, then you'll be in trouble, okay?
So the dummy not allowed from the base. Shoto Horia just receiving a little bit of treatment, and the Russians taking this moment to suck in the air.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, it's a crucial time now. 36 minutes, they've just got away with one, Russia. TMO call, choked off Matsushima's try. Crucial they hold up for this formation. Here's the start.
So you come on the line, please, okay?
Disastrous start really for Tupou, just totally misjudges it. Great follow-up from Golosnitsky. Get the Russians off the dream start. The cosmonauts are delighted.
Okay.
This was the score for Japan that followed on
Waiting for you now.
12 minutes. Matsushima profiting from a wonderful offload from Lafayette.
Time on.
This was the try that wasn't.
Fine margins.
Hori to Moore. And now they can really apply the heat, Japan. These are the moments they must try to capitalise on. With a tired opposition and the clock heading towards half-time in a hurry.
It's down by Red. Take him down, Red. Take him down, Red. No, now Ruck.
Stray hand stretches
Really
out.
take him down, Red.
Nigel Owens warns Russia.
Hughes.
Got to keep their noses clean at the breakdown. Strong line speed still. Ostrakov coming tearing out. A little loose from the Japanese. Finding their pathway blocked through the middle. Leach. Nagare fumbles but backwards. Tamura switches the point of attack. Now a little burst from Nakamura. Lavoskakny. Away they come. Matsushima sniffing. Nagare. Pace of the game good still from Japan.
Move, blue! No!
Russia doing their level best to slow things up, but it is a fairly thankless task at the moment. Horia caught in possession. Does well to recover himself and feed it back. Tamura. Nakamura. Raffaele to Lemaki. Progress made. But they're needing patience. They're going to have to wear the Russians down still further into the last couple of minutes in this first half. Desperately seeking a try for their efforts. Horia again bundled over. 13th phase of possession. Width on the outside. Space for Matsushima. He'll grab this one. No mistake this time. Kotaro Matsushima with 2. And Japan take the lead as we head to half-time.
Yeah, you just felt it was coming as we spoke about with KT and touchline. They looked tired, the Russians, they worked so hard in defence, but eventually after 13 phases, just run out of numbers on this right-hand side. He's just had one chalked off. And eventually they get to the outside where they are dangerous. Great one-handed offload. Put Matsushima away. Just kept ball, kept their patience, went through the phases. And this time, it's Nakamura with the offload to put Matsushima away. And you felt it was coming an important try for Japan, just on the cusp of half-time.
And this time 2 points added via the conversion from Yutamura. And Katuro Matsushima profiting from another excellent offload out of contact. Raffaele for the first one, Nakamura for the second. And but for that fingertip fumble just a few moments ago, Matsushima would have had a first-half hat-trick.
It's been a real contest. Japanese supporters probably expected it to be a little bit more comfortable than it is. They've really had to work hard, Japan. Full credit to Russia in this first half.
What a dream start for Matsushima at this World Cup, his second World Cup. The ball drops into Japanese arms. They're playing with an advantage thanks to a knock-on. Fired into touch. And the Japanese will be pleased with their efforts, particularly with the efforts of Matsushima, who scored twice and has put them in front as we head to the break. Golosnitsky with Russia's first, but it is Japan who lead Russia at half-time in the opening game of the World Cup here in Tokyo. Japan 12, Russia 7. So we're ready for the second half. Michael Leach and Shota Horie at the front of the queue for the Japanese, who have edged in front. And they did that right at the back end of the first half. There is a job to be done in this second period. They look fresh, they look eager. And the Russians are going to need to find some energy from somewhere. Maybe that energy will come from their bench. Japanese, you feel, are drawing energy from every which way, from their fans, from the occasion, and from the contest in front of them. Worth mentioning at this point, the Russians play Samoa on Tuesday. They'll have 3 days to recover, which Lynn Jones was saying in advance of this contest was ensuring that he woke up with cold sweats. And you can understand why. Japanese have a nice break until the 28th of September up against the Irish in Shizuoka. They're also bolstered by a punishing training camp or two in Miyazaki in the south of the country. They've been training at 25% more intense levels than matches even. And of course they are well used to the oppressive heat and humidity. They would seem to be well set for this kind of challenge, these sorts of minutes that are forthcoming.
It's an ideal scenario for Japan as well. You've just scored just for half time, you get the kick-off as well, so kick long, expect this to go long, put Russia in their 22, put pressure on them. So expect Japan to go up another 2 or 3 gears in their second half. That man, maybe couldn't ask any more of his players in that first 40 minutes. The Russians, Lynn Jones, Sean Connor in front of him, the assistant coach, and Jamie Joseph can ask for more from the Japanese. Some basic errors in that first 40, and they really need to pick it up.
Second half underway in Tokyo. Japan leading by 5 points, having weathered an early Russian storm. Just how fortified are the Russians after their break? Himeno. Wonderful burst. Yamaki. Shown the outside, taking the outside, but Davidoff equal to the challenge. Up the middle they go. Hori does well to hang on to that.
Leave him.
Awkward bounce for Russia. Dorofeyev, who's back on the field, having passed his head injury assessment, immediately called into action.
Good contest. Very good contest on the
And the alarm bell's ringing, but he has done exceptionally well to feed that back under huge stress.
Did really well, didn't he? The scrum half back after his knock to the head. Really well in a very dangerous situation.
No, it's not. Now it is.
Here he is again, Dorofeyev. He's got good distance on it.
There
you go. Gathered in by Tupou and sent to Matsushima, who's quickly becoming the darling of the Japanese crowd. 2 tries to his name. Could have had 3 potentially.
Got to his feet, play on.
And again, Himeno alive to the possibilities, having been brought to ground. Nagari is very much brought to ground by Ostroushko.
Perfectly legal. You were legal on your feet.
You think the Russians, Lynn Jones, these have a word with the Russian players. Once you make the tackle, keep hold of the tackled man, because
perfectly legal on your feet.
They've been very smart, Japan. Releasing the ball, getting back to their feet, playing the ball, and just eking out another 5, 6, 7 meters to get them on the front foot.
Yeah, you let me know when you're okay.
Looks ominous, doesn't it, for the Russians, Japan, with all the ball. See the territory, possession, all in Japan's favour, and just hanging on at this minute, the Russians.
The same 15 entirely, taking the field for this second half.
From what I've seen, they seem to be letting the ball go.
The timing of those substitutions will be critical, won't they, Martin?
They absolutely will.
Yeah, but if he comes up with the ball, then you were correct.
Such a difficult situation. Just can't get a foothold in the game, the Russians, the last 10, 15 minutes.
Perfectly, but make sure you do.
It does suck the energy when you making tackles, getting back your feet, getting back in the defensive line. You've got big bodies running at you, as physical as the Russians are. There's big bodies in that Japanese team.
Let's start again on the scrum then. Good standard, please. Come back a bit.
And this is a fantastic attacking opportunity.
Yeah, they'll be very wary from here.
Give me the good angle, please.
2 centres for Japan, Nakamura and Raphael, is so dangerous with those offloads. Good footwork as well.
Yep, everybody stacked to the open side as well, as they try and break free through Nakamura.
No!
And the penalty
Japan, advantage!
Will be forthcoming if the Japanese can't make anything of their advantage.
Get your feet and get out of the way, please.
Not rolling away from the tackled player.
It's not
So points on offer, straight in front of the posts.
Game, okay? But if it continues, or I think it's willful, don't you worry, I will do it.
We suspect under most circumstances they would take the 3 points at this stage.
And get back round,
Michael Leach is suggesting as much.
Yeah, you take the 3, you go 15-7 at 2 scores in front. And you just see, this is what happens when you get a little bit tired. Just number 12 for the Russians. Garisimov, he's been strong in defence, but that time blatantly in from the wrong side. And a soft penalty. That's just a tired penalty.
10 metres, okay? Be very careful
so an
now
easy
on
3
silly
points,
penalties,
you think?
please, okay? In this zone, be very
Nakamura.
careful.
Missed the conversion from the first Matsushima try, but he will make no mistake with this penalty to extend the Japanese lead. 15 points to 7.
Very slow walk back from the Russians.
Yeah, the energy in the stands is not necessarily being reflected by those in blue at this point. Yuri Kushnarev, with huge numbers of trophies behind him domestically, finding it tough going on the biggest stage of all. Lemeki, who hasn't had a great deal of ball, but when he's got it, when he's been given the opportunity, he's looked pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I think from experience, when you're tired all forward and you've got dynamic, powerful wingers like Lemeki running, it's the last thing you want.
Another awkward bounce has been well claimed by Matsushima. There were bodies all around him. Horia again as first receiver.
Stay four.
Seli Aivalu feeds it through the legs, and Nagare drives Japan forwards via the boot. This time well taken by Vasily Artemiev, but he is crunched in the tackle. That was an almighty hit from Lapis Lapuskachny.
Use!
Tupou. Tamura. Not quite got enough on that.
It's a poor option again, just giving the ball back to Russia. We just keep the ball in hand.
Zhivatov. Quick handling from the Russians this time, but the line speed is strong. Gadzhiev using all his upper body strength. Inside ball for Gotovtsev. He's got plenty of upper body strength. Man who was a former national wrestler. And again, the kicking leaves a little bit to be desired. Golozhnitsky, though, has made the most of it, and he's got it away.
Looks a very decent player, Golozhnitsky, on the left-hand wing for Russia. Oh, he's away.
The intercept, they're off. Japan searching for more tries, searching for points, and Lapuskachny has got the legs. A third try for Japan. Lapis Lapuskachny, the opportunist.
Yeah, they've cut the line for the Japanese crowd. Lapuskachny, just watch it, makes the hit, strips the ball. Brilliant work from the Japanese flankers, got the athleticism and the pace to get away from 34-year-old Kushnarev. Great moment, captain on his first game. Fantastic finish, fantastic try from Lapuskachny.
Huge celebrations all around the stadium, and Lapuskachny, who did that all by himself, really. Stripped the ball, one possession, set off for the try line, and a little bit disappointing that Tamura hasn't managed to convert it, but smile on the face of the open side. Let's bring in Carl Tanana. Carl.
See the adjustment Jamie Joseph has said at half-time to his Japanese team. He's told them to get more go forward, and also the ruck. They're sending more players in there, and it's getting a lot more clean pill.
Thanks very much, Carl. On we go once more, gathered in by Lemeki. This is Himeno, who's made some useful runs.
So there was no tackle before.
Spread wide by Nakamura. Tupou on the ball. blue shirts just beginning to splinter. There are some
Nine,
softer
nine,
shoulders
nine,
than
stop.
this
Okay.
second period. Another ball bounces, another ball drops for Raffaele.
And there's no option, no?
He's suggesting it was deliberately knocked away from his
Forward, no
grasp and
option.
into touch.
Plus forward.
Yeah, no one commanding the air. Raffaele thought you were in, but Art Mayhev again, the captain. Great last-ditch tackle. I think he does make that tackle. They're in.
Time out.
No one's quite sure what happened. I think, yeah, he's just lost it in the tackle. Art Mayhev does well to get to his feet, force the fumble into touch.
And there's that extra hand.
Just gets that stray left hand and gets away with that when Art Mayhev just watches right hand, sorry. Technically, that's a penalty to the Japanese for playing the ball well off your feet, but he's got away with it. Massive bodies around. You can see Raffaele, he knows. Good work from the Russian captain.
Time on.
Just threatening, aren't they? They are really just beginning to cook.
Feels as if the floodgates are about to open.
Tamiev still grinning.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Hold it there, please. Keep the pressure up. Good work.
Vavilin skips free of the first tackle from Labuskakny.
On his feet when he played the ball. On his feet when he got his hands on the
Japanese ball, working hard at the breakdown and finding space. Trying to go through the legs, Lemeki. Those feet will exploit any tired bodies, but he's well held, and Ostrakov is manhandling him.
I was just waiting to see K's advantage, Kib, it didn't. Lost forward.
So strong, Lemeki always beats the first man, isn't he? Very dangerous. Ball just hasn't broken for him. But again, watch Michael Leach, the timing of this, through the ruck, through the gate, fully entitled. Keslow steals the ball. Great turnover from the Japanese skipper. A good scramble defence, in fairness to the Russians. Great work from Davidov. Good read to step in off his right wing to break the play up.
Let's go.
Michael Leach captaining the Brave Blossoms for the 31st time tonight. Third most in their history.
A huge cheer from the crowd every time his face goes up on the big screen. Absolute hero to this Japanese public.
Born in Christchurch, New Zealand, moved to Japan at the age of 15. Interesting to hear him talk earlier in the week, saying we've got jobs to do and losing isn't one of them. Their sights are set high. Quarterfinals or beyond. And who knows what might happen if they make it into the last 8. Home support behind them. First they need to complete the job here against the Russians, who have won a penalty.
Great work from the Russian front row. We spoke about Katovtsev, former bobsleigh and wrestling. Such a powerful man. Morisov and Selsky as well as front row partners. Just great work. It's such a relieving penalty for the Russians. They've been under huge pressure the first 11 minutes of the second half. You see there's a few with their hands on their knees, sucking in the air, looking for that oxygen. Great work from the Russian front 5. And that's a brilliant kick.
Oh, what about that? That is a sensational kick from Yuri Kushnarev. Taking it deep, deep inside the 22. That will really raise spirits.
Outstanding kick, really is from the Russians. Just when we thought they were down and out, they counter punch. Brilliant scrum, and the super kick from the Russian outside half. Fantastic.
And an opportunity, a genuine opportunity here for the Russians. They've been on defensive duty for a very, very long time, so this is a real chance, ball in hand.
Got to win the life. See the number 8, Vavilin, he's standing where a scrum half would normally stand. So interesting to see what's going to pay off this line out, whether he goes in. It's a front peel.
Ostrakov, Vavilin on that peel. The Japanese have read it and have handled it for the moment. Van der Vault wraps them up in the tackle, but it's driven on now by Ostrakov. Japanese scrambling for all they're worth. Gotovtsev repelled.
Stay back.
Inagaki looks in trouble.
Oh, he's taken one there to the face with a stray boot, maybe.
And he's back to his feet, and they're still muscling their way forwards here, Russia.
Stay back. Get your hands back.
Gadjev
Your hands behind.
stopped in his tracks. How effective can they be from close range?
Get back.
Working in
Offside.
pairs as well. The Latcher
Advantage, offside.
looking to
Leave.
deliver a little bit of
Leave.
extra shunt.
Offside.
They've got the advantage here, Russia. The Japanese have strayed across the offside line.
Yeah, you've got the advantage. Try something a little bit different now, the Russians.
A further infringement from Japanese perspective just might bring some awkward decisions for Nigel Owens, but he's blown for the penalty.
Leave. Wait, no. Oh. You must take behind the flag.
Constantly telling the Japanese player Nigel Owens throughout that phase of play to stay behind the hindmost foot. Just one of the Japanese players just got a little bit over anxious. Such a difficult area of the field to defend if you're a forward when those big men are picking and going around the corner, trying to sneak a yard in defence just to make that dominant hit. Just crept offside, and looks as if the Russians are going to back their scrum. Yeah, here it is, just number 8 coming in from the side. Just easy penalty for Nigel Owens.
Number 1 and number 3.
James Moore transgressing, and we had Himeno trapped, unable to move. There's Keita Inagaki, who was clutching his eyes for a moment or two not that long ago, but regardless, Jamie Joseph is ringing the changes in the front row, and Inagaki and Ivalu are going off, and they're going to be replaced here by Nakajima and Kujimon. Big shift from these two.
Yeah, really big shift. Scrum has been pretty solid for both teams. Just the last Russian scrum just got on top. Jamie Joseph making the call early, and what a scrum for those two guys to go on. 5 metres from your own try line. Fresh legs. Jamie Joseph will hope will solidify this Japanese scrum. Expect the Russians to go really hard. What normally happens when the substitute props come on is usually a collapsed scrum, isn't it, or a penalty either way. So difficult to call off the bench just to get up the speed and the heat of the battle.
We've got a bit of depth here, Japan. Nakajima, Tongan born, and probably the biggest man in the squad, nudging up towards 20 stone. Kujiwon, playing his first World Cup, born in South Korea, but a Japanese citizen for the last 4 years. And there is a job to be done straight up here for them.
Such a powerful man, Gotovtsev, the Russian number 3 on this side.
Both sides.
A tight head for the Russians.
Where the shoulder is forward. Go please, lads. On the left.
So the great and the good all here. Seville Beaumont, the chairman of World Rugby. And,
Pressure off, shoulders out.
we have the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe,
Fine.
and a number of other very significant men of the rugby world and the Japanese political community. And all attention's now on the Japanese defensive effort. The Rofeev breaks. Russia have been nudged back just a metre or so. Through the hands, loose. There's the boot of Matsushima, picked up by Golosnitsky. Golosnitsky sensing a moment here, couldn't quite get the ball away, wrapped up by the tackle from Himeno. That was a really important intervention. Taken up now by Fedotko. Goodness, what a try would do for Russia from here. Gadjev is not too far away.
He deserves a try if anybody. They just...
He's on his feet.
I think it's Lava Shagni.
On their feet.
Skagny just got over the ball.
First man in.
So close twice there, Russia. That man on the left-hand wing, Golosnitsky, so dangerous. Great strength, just couldn't get the ball away on the outside.
Well, a great bit of work at the breakdown from Labuschagne. Gadzhiev was close, wasn't he? But,
well,
I mean...
I tell you, if you're a Russian coach, a Russian fan there, you're questioning, did he come in through the gate? Harsh penalty for me, that one, against the Russians.
Okay. Scrum.
Frustration writ large for Lynn Jones. And again, Shota Hori is needing some treatment. He's had one or two problems through the course of this match, and of course recently had trouble with his foot and was out for some time. Let's bring in Carl Tanana. Carl.
Yeah, these games, Lynn Jones, he knows his team needs to score, especially in this end of the field. They've had opportunities. You can tell the closeness of this game. Russia need to take every single one close on that occasion. Need a good defensive set right now.
Okay.
Certainly do. You just wonder how many chances they're going to get, particularly with the scoreline standing as it is. If they can close the gap now, they might really feel they have some degree of hope. Yeah, Utamura has not put a great deal of distance on that kick.
I tell you now, his forwards won't be thanking him for that one. You know, he got a penalty, hasn't even got outside his 22, so a very indifferent 56 minutes from the Japanese outside half. Got to put pressure on this line-out, Russia. They do as well.
And the line-out is a right old scramble. It's been missed by Selski. But the Russians have it. And Gadzhiev is charging forwards, but going to come back for the knock-on. There'll be a Japanese scrum.
Yeah, good work from the Russians. Risky line-out from the Japanese in that area of the field to go. Lots of movement, going towards the back. Allowed Ostrakov to read the play and get up and spoil it and win the turnover. But again, it comes from a poor kick from the Japanese number 10, Yotamura. Took no pressure off the Japanese pack whatsoever, and it gives the Russians another opportunity. As KT says, they need some points on the board. They need to come away with something just to keep them in this game, just give them a little bit of momentum. Haven't looked to really go outside the Japanese defensively. They've gone very direct, big ball carriers in that back line for Russia.
Keep it up. Keep the bind up. Keep the bind up. Good.
Vavilin. Nice ball from Dorofeev. Strong work here from Morozov.
Hands away, release, back.
Ostrakov. Bundled backwards. Strong work over the ball, some pretty hefty counter-rucking as well from the Japanese, but they've got to give up the fight. And Kushnerov is the man who feeds it to Vavilin, who's bundled by Kujiwon.
Yeah, that's what you want from your substitutes, the two props, two fresh props, fresh legs. Big hits that time on the Russian number 8.
Into the midfield goes the kick. It's brilliantly claimed this time by Artemiev, and they have made good ground, and Gadzhiev will make the most of this chance. Driven to the ground by Van der Walt.
You fall on the wrong side.
And they have the advantage. A penalty is on his way here for Russia. Dorofeev digs it through. Matsushima claims the ball, and the penalty is awarded.
Just won't go away, will they, Russia? Just keep coming away. Nothing really with ball in hand, but aerially, they've totally outplayed Japan, and a great take from the captain again, Artemiev.
Looks like they're going to take the points here, Martin, and I think with a lot of hands on hips, just slowing the play down, this Russian team, so they're playing smart at the moment.
First defense is you, okay?
Yeah, playing smart and keeping themselves in the hunt. This will cut the deficit. 20 minutes to play, still plenty of men on the bench to deploy. They've hung tough. Clean strike. And We're back to a 10-point gap with 20 minutes left to play.
Yeah, full credit from the Russians. We were expecting the floodgates to open, Japan to pull away. They just hang on, they won a few crucial penalties. There's some key players now, lots of experience coming on the field for Japan.
Yes, Luke Thompson is coming on for Wimpy van der Walt. And Fumiaki Tanaka is on for Nagare, so as you rightly mentioned, plenty of experience. Thompson winning his 67th cap at the age of 38. He's already retired twice. He's back into the fray, lured by the excitements of another World Cup. This will be his fourth. And at scrum half, Fumiaki Tanaka, Japan's most capped scrum half. Change being made to the Russian side as well. Fedotko making his way off, and he's going to be replaced by Andrei Garbuzov, who himself is just 4 caps short of the 100 mark, and is a somewhat combustible character. His disciplinary record is an interesting one, but he is a fine man to be able to call upon at a time like this. 36 years old, but plenty of starts in 2019 for Russia, for Garbuzov. And this is Zhivatov. Dorofeev getting good distance. That was flat at best, that pass. Himeno dragged down by Gerasimov. Raffaele lays it on a plate. The Japanese have not really had ball in hand in a meaningful field position for some time now. That's a horror kick from Tamura. It's gone straight up in the air. Leach has made it into a decent kick.
Did really well there, Leach.
That's good work we played.
Nudged Golotski out of the way, took the ball. A terrible kick from Tamura.
Release!
Luke Thompson.
Good man.
And it's popped away. Tanaka working that short side. One of the architects of that brilliant win over the Springboks in Brighton 4 years ago. He's got sucked into the ruck, and Japan could do with a scrum half. Sharpish. Tamura works his way in there. Nakamura, that was a tricky bounce. The Russians haven't gathered it cleanly. It's been knocked on. And we're coming back for a Japanese penalty.
Yeah, Gatsiev again, he's the man, the number 7 for Russia. He's just been an absolute thorn in the side for Japan tonight. Every breakdown, yeah, he is just coming in just from the side, and touch and go as an old 7. I think that's fine, you know. He's had plenty of time over the ball. Mismatch with Tanaka trying to clean him out, but what an effort that man's put in tonight. It's been immense with the ball and without.
Right. Okay, time is on, lads.
Really digging deep.
Yeah, if you want to treat him,
Tagir Gadzhiev, as all of these Russians are right now, it is hurting. They are going to a pretty dark place, and it might get darker in the next 17 minutes or so. There are 1 or 2 more players to call upon from the bench for Lynn Jones, who, when he arrived in the job, was concentrating almost exclusively on fitness, particularly their strength and conditioning work. And he said he really had to work on their ability to concentrate and make decent decisions when under pressure. And of course, when you're blowing, Martin, when you are really struggling and the lungs are bursting, making good decisions is all that tougher.
Yeah, it is, and when you're desperate. But this is an interesting decision from Japan. You know, with 20 points to 10 up, it's not by no means a give me at a penalty goal. Difficult kick for Tamura. It was a very indifferent game. Chose maybe just a little bit of nervousness from the Japanese.
Two from 4 so far tonight for Tamura. Looks like he's landed that beautiful kick from Tamura. Decent distance on it. The accuracy was strong. The Japanese are happy. Kaltanana, what are you concentrating on?
Well, the changes that Russia have made, 4 in fact here, Ali, so obviously fatigue. And as you said earlier on in the call, the timing of the substitutes from Lynn Jones, he knows he's only got a quarter of rugby left in this opener and he needs something special off the bench.
So often we see teams really go for the jugular in the final 20. It tends to be those who have the greater fitness, quite obviously, those with the greater fitness and those with the stronger benches. Depth not entirely where Lynn Jones would like it at this point in Russia's rugby evolution. Nakajima bursting through. He's got the offload away nicely as well to Kujiwon. The 2 replacement props combining nicely. A little bit of space to work with here through the middle for Lafayette. Lays it on a plate for Tanaka. And Japan seem to have the bit between their teeth again. Matsushima shut down early by Ostrushko. Still that line speed is strong, and there you see the influence of a man from the bench. Polivalov making the tackle. Japan back behind the gain line.
Yeah, seemed like second wind, the Russians. The line speed 10-15 minutes ago was really dropping, but they back up, firing again into the Japanese. Great effort.
Yeah, nowhere to go that time for Nakajima. They're back inside their 22 and trying to find a way out. Field positions proving difficult at the moment for the Japanese. They'll be wary of Golozhnitsky and indeed of Artemiev, but they've dealt with him.
Ball is clearly her.
Russians now have Ramil Gaisin on at fly half in place of Kushnarev as well. And they've changed their hooker and their loose head, Polivalov and Matveyev, replacing Morozov and Selsky.
No, you put him there, the ball is clearly available. Hughes, please.
Dorofiev looking for a kindly bounce, he's found it too. Just enabling them to continue this little bit of pressure just outside the Japanese 22.
Yeah, different sort of kick from the Russian scrum half. You know, they've gone very high, very aerial this evening, but that time a clever little dink, found a bit of space, found a bit of grass, puts the Japanese line out under pressure again. Still looking a little bit concerned, Jimmy Joseph.
It's a good point you make though, Martin, with the variations on the kicks probably been a thing from the Russians. They've had the little box kicks from Goridev, they've had the up and unders in the first half, and it really has troubled this Japanese who've left a bit of space in behind their front right.
Interesting decision being made here by Jamie Joseph. Yutamura has come off. He's been replaced by Rikia Matsuda. He hasn't had it all his own way here tonight, Tamura. Nakamura driven back in the tackle. And Tanaka probes the Russian ability under the high ball. Gadzhiev snatches it from under the nose of his opposition, but it's gone forwards.
Knocked on, forward pass.
And the Japanese will have another scrum.
Yeah, 34 missed tackles from Russia. You're not going to win a game at this level with that amount of missed tackles. Again, they've scrambled so well. You'd think the 34 missed tackles, the scoreboard would normally be 50, 60 points. So it's full credit to their scramble defence, but they've so difficult.
Kirill Gotovtsev.
It was more of a pass into the guy in front, scrum only.
Twice as many carries
Unavoidable pass in that, scrum only, okay?
from the Japanese. But they have managed to pull away.
So Gotovtsev off, Bitiev on. And they've also made a change in the centres, I believe. Russia. Gerasimov
Keep it up, please. Good height.
is off.
Keep it height, good.
Sozanov is on in his place. Tanaka. Matsushima.
Okay, Bess. Good, play on.
Japan looking to play with pace again. Looking to work those channels and exploit any tiredness in the Russian legs, which we know there is plenty of. They're disguising it exceptionally well, though.
Holding him in
And
there.
they've robbed the Japanese of the ball.
15 was holding him in there.
Matveyev breaks away. Feeds it on to Garbuzov.
Stay back.
Arriving at pace and a lovely dummy as well, Sozanov. He's got the ball away quite brilliantly. How about that for impact
Back up, Fred.
from the bench?
Dangerous.
Taken in though by Lemaki. Lemaki, 4 Russians bearing down on him. Sidesteps one. He won't be going past Kirill Golosnitsky. And the chase is on. Artemiev. That was a weary kick.
That was a very, very tight kick. This could be
Raffaele puts pace on the ball, puts space on the ball as well, and they're charging around the outside, and Matsushima is heading for a hat-trick. Kotaro Matsushima, 3 for the night, and Japan not far from the finish line now.
Well, Tanaka, I thought he'd make the wrong decision by kicking down the tram line, but it's gone to a very tired Russian captain, Vasily Artemiev, who just hands the ball back to the Japanese on a plate. Here we go, just put it into touch, Vasily. No, he's kicked it into touch, and this man, as we've seen, Matsushima, he's up against a couple of forwards, a couple of the Russian forwards on the outside. There's only one winner, puts the afterburners on, and he's in.
That's where he's just so good. That first 10 metres off the mark, Matsushima could have had 4, gets his third, but he has been the story from the Japanese team tonight. Outstanding Matsushima.
Incredible burst of pace, good strength in the contact as well. And the Russians ultimately chasing shadows.
Really good team.
Matsushima now with 9 tries in his last 7 test matches. Quite the strike rate. Up to 20 in total from his 35 tests. And here's Rikiya Matsuda. Japan up to 30. Into the final 10 minutes.
So I think we've seen both sides living as Lamanaki, who started early on his own 22, breaking down the left-hand side, and this man, you can't give him a sniff. Vavina in the Russian number 8, who's worked his socks off tonight. That's the last thing you want in the 70th minute, is to be one-on-one with a winger of that quality. There's only one winner, and justifiably gets his hat-trick. Brilliant from Matsushima.
Well, he spent some time learning his trade, Matsushima. He's played some rugby with the Sharks in Durban in South Africa, with the Waratahs in Australia, and he's bringing it all to bear tonight on the biggest stage here in Tokyo, the opening game of the Rugby World Cup. He may just have put his side out of sight. 20 points clear with less than 9 minutes remaining.
Boys, ball is there. Yeah, fine. Under blue bodies, okay. Let him go.
Matveyev, replacement hooker.
Stay low.
Sent on its way by Sozanov. Really testing kick. Gadjev so nearly had it.
Knock on blue.
Matsushima clears up. Gadjev still in there, wrestling away.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, so near again. They've caused Japan so many problems aerially. Really have. Great chase by Davidov. Gets there, contests. That man deserves a try with the blue number 7. He has been absolutely everywhere, Gadjev. Just didn't stick.
The rugby just have beaten you.
He'll sleep tonight, let me tell you.
I suspect so. And then he'll turn his attentions to Samoa on Tuesday. And that's going to hurt.
Yeah, 3-day turnaround, in this day and age, so difficult. Such a physical game.
Michael Leach now off the field. Henrik Tui is on the blind side, packing down.
Bang! Set! Hold it there, good height, keep that line, pressure up, pressure up, pressure up. Lovely.
Tanaka for Matsuda. Set line by Yamanaka. That is an almighty clearance. He's given that absolutely everything, Yamanaka.
Yeah, it's a great kick, isn't it? Real low trajectory with his left foot.
Number 9.
Huge distance.
Stay on the line.
Dorofeev makes way for Perov. So Russia at this stage have emptied their bench.
Right, no, it's over, yes, it's over. No
Well
offside.
played
Off
this
the
time
shoulder.
by Gadzhiev.
Off the shoulder for me, unless somebody says different.
Having
Stay
to work
18.
hard behind the
Okay.
gain line here. Davidov tears up towards Lemecki. And now some fabulous footwork here. Matsuda caught. Nice step from Luke Thompson at the age of 38.
When you've got somebody 6'7" flying at you, Ali, you two tend to, your footwork does quicken up a little bit.
Through the middle go the Japanese, and they've found space. They found Yamanaka, who's stepping, and he's fending, and he's inside the 22, trying to get that ball away.
Unlucky. He's not touching the ball for me.
What's the
He's
decision
not
here
touching
from
the ball,
Nigel
and he
Owens?
lets you play it off the head, back in, accidental. Yes, of course he does.
He's looked really accomplished, doesn't he, Yamanaka, since he's come on. Kicked really well, relieving kick earlier, very dangerous ball in hand, great support line. Here he comes, great angle. Desperate defence in the end from the Russians.
Well, that's where they've been so fantastic, haven't they? Man, their scramble defence side off the head, yeah, that's a knock-on. Fair call, he's got it right once again, Nigel Owens. But it's been the lack of continuity I think Jamie Joseph will be talking about with his team, Japan, going forward.
Yeah, as KT says, you know, 41 missed tackles from Russia usually tells a story that there's been no hunger, there's been no passion, but the way they've worked back, you know, they've conceded 30 points, yes, but you can't fault the Russians. With a heart, the scramble, they've left everything out on that pitch this evening.
As has Shota Horie. His day is done, and he'll be wrapped up, ready for the next challenge, which is Ireland in some 8 days' time. So 5 minutes remaining. 20-point gap. The Japanese, you suspect, won't be happy with this as a final scoreline. They will feel they've had enough possession and they've caused enough trouble to put a more sizable margin on their opponents.
Fine.
Free kick at scrum time. Sozanov picks out Lemecki and Yamanaka.
Stay red, stay 19.
I've
Stay
seen
with
the
that. Okay, yes,
size of that Yamanaka boot. It's Sozanov who's waiting. He's trying to find some space in behind Matsushima, and you can see the excitement in his eyes and the anticipation amongst the crowd as he gains possession and then loses possession. That was a little sloppy on the deck from Matsushima.
It was, but again, you think it's a sloppy kick, but the Russians, in fairness, have kept their line speed. They got up there, made the hit, made the tackle. Great energy from the Russians. You know, the game's down and out. They're not going to win this game, but they're still fighting for every inch, every yard. He can be incredibly proud, Lynn Jones, of his team this evening.
Oh, leaning in. Pressure off.
Cramming 4 years of work into 12 months, Lynn Jones said
Pressure off.
earlier this week.
He's a real character, Lynn Jones, but behind all that, he's got a fantastic rugby brain. He's a brilliant coach. You speak to any players who worked under him.
The pressure up. Very good.
Really is a great coach.
Crossfield from Sozanov. And it's escaped the clutches of Matsuda. Each team benefiting from the length of kitting from two men coming off the bench. Sozanov for Russia, Yamanaka for Japan.
I think both Russian outside-halves have gone really well tonight. Kushnarev, obviously all the experience, but Sosanov's looked really lively since he's come on for the Russians. Ball in hand, looks shade tad quicker than Kushnarev.
2 meters, 16.
The kicks just as well.
2 meters.
Matsushi Sakate is the new Japanese hooker. Once more Yamanaka. Once more, an absolute monster.
It's that low trajectory, side of the foot, left huge distance. He's been really impressive since he's come on. It's a great strike.
Versatile player, Yamanaka can be deployed at 10, 12, 15, the archetypal utility player.
Wait. Excuse me, please. Thank you. Time out.
Degree of bafflement, befuddlement, confusion on the face of Evgeny Matveyev. They've earned their corn tonight, the Russians. They really have worked so hard. They've lost possession at the line-out. Is there one final flourish left in the Japanese? It's gone forwards from Sakate on the deck. So there'll be a Russian scrum to come, and in the meantime, it's time for the MasterCard Player of the Match, Martin.
Yeah, some huge performances from everybody involved. Gatchev on the Russian side has been outstanding. The whole Japanese back row, but who else could I give it to this evening? My MasterCard Player of the Match is Kotaro Matsushima with a hat-trick. Been lively all evening. Could have got 4, but a great finisher.
Well, that's what you want, don't you, Martin, from your wings? You want them to get over the line, you want them scoring points, and they need to take everything on off, and that's exactly what he's done, especially when his team has been in trouble. Matsushima just so dynamic, and he's already put a stake in the sand how good he's going to be over this tournament.
Yeah, fabulous launch pad for him and for Japan as a whole, as the Russians launch perhaps their final attack of the night.
Yeah, the scoreboard doesn't reflect. They've put in everything. The Japanese, everybody thought they were going to be lambs to the slaughter this evening. Japan run away with this 50, 60 points, but nothing could be further from the truth. They've really done themselves proud. The Russians, huge performance.
Strushko to the ground, clock in the reds, but the whistle blowing just before that moment. So one final play. Have the option to end the contest by firing it into touch, and the line-out will of course take place. It is Sozanov who does the job. He's taken them right up to the 22 as well. Good to see the ambition here. Clock in the red, absolutely out on their feet, exhausted. 20 points down, still pushing for points.
Yeah, they've just kept coming in there, Japan. We were all expecting them to pull away in the second half, but they've hung on in there, and they deserve a try. They deserve a consolation try. The Russians, the line-out has gone a little bit wayward since the substitutions have been made, but hopefully they can nail this one.
It's Gadjev who knocks it back, and it's there for Golosnitsky. Try scorer earlier on this evening, taken up by Matveyev. Taken through the middle, this time by Anton Sitchev, off the bench in the back row. Garbuzov.
That's a rack now, it's a rack now! It's a rack now!
Still searching for it.
Yes, where they have struggled a little bit, the Russians, is turning that slow ball into quick ball.
Sozanov attempts to find space. Instead, he finds Matsuda, and Matsuda says that will do for now. And Japan launched their World Cup in style. They navigated a tough start, but they've come firing out of the blocks here in Tokyo, and they've dispatched Russia. Quarterfinals or better the target. They've begun very nicely indeed. Full time, Japan 30, Russia 10. So everybody looking to capture this moment. Japanese fans, Russian fans, and ultimately, Martin, a very entertaining contest between these two. Many suspected a blowout with the Russians being overrun. It didn't pan out that way at all.
No, you're right, Ali, and it was, I think the word contest is exactly the right word. We were all expecting Japan to run away, but Russia made it really, really difficult in the contact area for Japan. Aerially, they won the battle. Japan have got a lot of work to do if they can overcome Ireland and Scotland in this group. Look, it's a lot of rustiness under their belt. The pressures of the whole occasion maybe got the better of them early on in the first half. The quality and the pace behind Matsushima, just a little bit more of a cutting edge behind, but fantastic opening to this World Cup.
Well, it is, in many ways, the ideal launch pad for the Japanese, who play Ireland next, Samoa, and then Scotland in the final pool game, which is already looking like a very enticing prospect. There is so much rugby to be played in the meantime, so much fun to be had, both on and off the field in the meantime. But the Japanese have begun in good style. Jamie Joseph will be pleased with that first run out. Important to keep players' feet on the ground at this time, you would suspect. He will have a management job in that respect, Martin, because there will inevitably follow plenty of excitement, plenty of hype. They've earned it so far. The Russians more than played their part, a battling effort. So Japan coming out on top on the scoreboard, and now it's time for some reaction.
Here with the captain, Vasily Artemiev of Russia. I mean, you come into this game under a lot of pressure, but you couldn't have asked for a better start, could you?
Yeah, we've done everything we practiced. I think huge effort from all the players tonight, and I think you could see it throughout the game that we were in the battle, that we were playing our game plan. Few penalties, a couple of missed opportunities. I think that was the difference at the end. But thank you very much for the crowd today. We could hear our own support, and obviously we could hear the Japanese support. So, спасибо большое всем, кто пришел. Спасибо, мы вас слышали. Спасибо огромное за поддержку.
You spoke about the fitness levels of your players. I mean, it all showed throughout your faces. The heart you gave from your team, you couldn't be more happier, could you?
Yeah, I think everyone could see that we were playing at the same intensity as Japan. We were pushing them to the edges. We were getting some dividends. Maybe we could have scored a couple more penalties if we went for it. But we chose to apply the pressure through set piece. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted. But again, huge effort for our players, and arigatou gozaimasu to Japan for the great performance.
Well done. I know not the result you wanted. You got a short turnaround, go well for Samoa. Eh?
Oh yeah, we were fired up to play Samoa. I think first time in my history anyway, playing against the Pacific Island side, and we're really looking forward to it. So again, please come to support Russia.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, he speaks so well, relishing the prospect of the forthcoming weeks, relishing the prospect of playing in front of big support, Martin. This is a real rarity for this group of players.
Oh, it really is. A 3-day turnaround is no mean task, you know. Recover, ice baths, early to bed.
Time to hear from the Japanese camp.
Michael Leach, the captain of Japan. I know a great result, but I'm sure there's some more work-ons after that one.
Yeah, straight from the kickoff, Vasily and his men, they put us under some extreme pressure, and with their game plan and physicality, you know, they really tested us today.
Do you think there was some nerves coming in, especially that first 40 minutes?
100%, big nerves. Now that the nerves are out of the way, we can start looking forward to Ireland.
You must be pretty happy with the resolve from your team to be able to come back and sort of stifle that Russian attack.
Yeah, I'm happy. We showed great resilience to not go into our shell and keep playing. So, there's a lot of work-ons that we need to fix, but I think we're in the right spot to take on Ireland.
The thing you must be really pleased with as well, you scored before half-time and just half the time. It's just so important, isn't it?
We're playing at the World Cup, those points really put pressure on. So, to come out and score straight after half-time, that was a great result for us to great momentum.
You'll take the win. Good luck for the next one. Kabarimashou.
Kabarimashou. Thank you.
Gum shield in, job done.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be entirely satisfied with the performance, but it's always nice to critique a performance after a win. There's lots for that man there, Jamie Joseph, to work on, and Michael Leach and his team, and I'm sure they will get better as the tournament goes on. That was a really difficult game, all the expectation, all the hype on Japan, but they came through.
William Jones, coach of Russia. I mean, not the result you wanted, but there's a lot of positive you can take out of that game, isn't there?
Yeah, very much so. For us to have a positive result here today, we needed things to go our way, and we kicked badly first half. We controlled the territory second half, but we just couldn't get a gain line. The defence with Japan was physical, it was technically good, and hit us slow, and we just couldn't get the momentum in the game to sustain any type of attack. And our kicking game worked really well second half, and our set piece stuck together for most of it. So there's lots of positives for us, and you just don't understand the size of this match for these boys to what they're used to, and they've stood up today and they've done their country proud, and that's all you can ask.
You created a lot of opportunities though, so how do you start taking those ones?
With experience, we could lovely break. We're on the ascendancy, and one little panic error, and we conceded 7 points. Look, that's just time. You can't shortcut that type of decision in the attack. We just need more composure, but that comes with time. It comes with experiences and good coaching.
I thought it was fantastic, Coach. You said you've been here in a short space of time, but had to create and evolve this culture. I mean, how difficult has that been?
Yeah, look, it's been really challenging, and coaching elite players is quite easy. You have different challenges, and coaching players who perhaps haven't had the luxury of growing up in a good environment is a lot more testing, where you've got to take a game back and teach them a contemporary game of rugby. That's happening, and then create the habit. But these boys have learnt, and we picked the fittest, fastest team we could tonight to put up with the speed of the Japanese boys, and we did okay.
I think you're doing a fantastic job with this Russian team. Go well for the next game, eh?
Thank you, Carl. Thank you. Good luck.
Love that little comment that with time and experience it will come. Oh, and some good coaching.
You can be very proud of what this Russian team have pushed this Japanese team all the way tonight, made it very, very difficult for them. Great scenes.
So this is something of a novelty, and perhaps something that we will see through the course of the Japanese campaign. They've wandered around the outside edges of the pitch, and they have accepted the applause of their supporters who've gathered here in huge numbers, and of course countless other thousands, millions watching at home, all well satisfied with the result.
The Japanese coach Jamie Joseph, I know, congratulations on the win, but what do you think you can do to sort of fix up some of those frailties that happened tonight?
I mean, the game showed that the boys were nervous. As you said before the game, there's a lot of expectation on the guys. We thought we'd prepared well for it, but as I said earlier on, it's not until you get out there amongst it and then you realise just how much pressure there is on the guys. I'm proud of the way they came through it in the end. We made a lot of unforced errors. Our kicking game was pretty poor tonight, so we're going to have to fix that up quickly. But you really have to take your head off to the Russian guys, because they really took it to us, put us under a lot of pressure. I just have to give them, have to congratulate Lynn and his guys for that, for sure.
What was said at half-time by yourself? Because it seemed like there was a change in tactics with a bit more go-forward ball.
To be honest, we tactically we didn't change a hell of a lot. I mean, the defence sting out of the Russian defence was a wee bit more subtle in the second half. Obviously, they played a lot of rugby in that first half and got a little bit tired. And we just executed a little wee bit better, took our chances a little bit better.
Well, the first game's out of the way. You got the stake in the sand, so hopefully up and onwards for the next one. Good luck, eh?
That's right. Thanks very much.
So the Russians also using this moment to make sure it's recorded for posterity. Lynn Jones congratulating his men.
A photographer as well as a coach, Lynn Jones. Must.
You have to multitask, I suspect, when you're in the role that he performs. But overwhelmingly, Japan's night.
I think for both these players, it's a night they'll never ever forget for the rest of their lives. You know, huge moment of playing an opening game of a Rugby World Cup.
Well, I'm here with the player of the match for Japan, Kotaro Matsushima. Congratulations on the win. 3 tries, could have been 4. I mean, how much did you enjoy that game tonight?
Thank you very much. Most of the job was from the forwards, so I really appreciate it for the 3 tries.
It just seemed, especially in that first half, they really troubled you with a kick on the back 3. It seemed like the win was quite tricky.
We lost control on the backfield, so hopefully we can fix that on the next week.
Now, just tell me about that no try. Did you think you scored it?
Maybe fingertip.
Stop being humble, my mate, but I'll just welcome in Mr. Dan Carter just to present the award for the MasterCard Player of the Match.
Nice touch to see Dan Carter here, World Cup winner himself, of course, in 2015, delivered the killer blow against the Australians, and a man well known to the Japanese public as well. So here are the highlights of the match tonight. Big moments as the players emerged from the tunnel past the Webb Ellis Trophy. And an early scare for the Japanese. It was Artemiev who put the cat amongst the pigeons, but then the damage was self-inflicted, really. Will Tupou making an absolute hash of that. And on raced Golesnitsky, took his chance really well, Martin.
He was impressive all night, the left wing, really powerful. And you thought there may be an upset, they wouldn't go away, but just a little bit more quality, a little bit more magic from the Japanese. Brilliant play, brilliant offload from Raphael to put Matsushima away for his first.
Yeah, the offloading was critical to the Japanese success, and just towards the back end of the first half, another excellent offload. Nakamura this time, and Matsushima running in his second for a narrow advantage at the break.
Wouldn't go away though, the Russians, they kept coming. But this was great play from the big Japanese number 7, Rabashagny. He's away, strips the ball, and great athleticism to go 50-60 metres.
Tremendous celebrations at the time, 47 minutes on the clock. And then a tricky bounce for Artemiev to deal with, narrow angle to work with, and that a bit of a shocker of a kick. And the Japanese picked off the Russians. The initial burst from Matsuda, and then Matsushima slicing through that blue defence and finishing well for his hat-trick. And a glorious moment for Japanese rugby.